Ryan Ellis joins us now on Brady and Price. Good, congratulations on your contract for that. For one thing, you barely had spending money when you sat on the bus with a guy named Taylor Hall in the seat behind me, right?
Yeah, no. How are you guys doing?
We're great. You're good to put in the rear view mirror, as it were. Like, is it nice to get this done? Would this have been any sort of distraction for you? It's lovely to get this done before the even training camp starts, right? You don't want to get asked about it after today, really, do you?
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. I think one of the least favored parts of sports for the athletes is going through contract negotiations, and so it's been a couple months since we've been eligible to sign it, and it's nice to get it all done. And I'm more than happy to be back in Nashville for the long haul.
Obviously, last year, I mean, you had a good year, but you had question marks as far as health was concerned going into the year, and you never know how you're going to come back after an injury, and came back 44 games. You looked as good as new. Were you ever worried you weren't going to be as good as new?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long rehab. It wasn't the funnest thing. I think mentally it was the biggest grind, and you never, like you said, you never know how you're going to respond and how you're going to come back. And my first game back was probably one of the most nervous games I've ever played, and it kind of all just took off from there. And we had a tremendous year as a team. We did great, like you said, our Stanley Cup run, but we did a lot of good things last year, and we're looking to continue to build on that.
Hard to go back to back and get to the finals. I mean, a lot of teams outside of the Penguins have really struggled with that. I thought you remember your former coach Bob Bugner. He's on that staff with Pete DeBoer. They go to the finals and they couldn't get out of the first round the next year. So the Western Conference, Ryan, you saw this last year going to Game 7 with the Jets. I mean, there are a lot of people that think the Jets will take the next step, but we were talking about the West just an hour ago on the show, and it's tough to even guarantee a playoff spot, let alone a team's going to win 12 playoff games and get to the final, right?
Yeah, I mean, the West and especially our Central Division, it's each game's a war, and you have a little bit of a rivalry with every team. And you're right, you can't guarantee yourself a playoff spot, and you really have to go out every night and compete. And the divisional matchups are even more key from there. And at the end of the day, we love the challenge. It's a great league to play in. It's a great division, and it's every night you got to be up for it. So we look forward to the challenge this year again.
And what we were talking about also is the long runs in the playoffs and how that affects. We talked about the Blackhawks and having all those runs back to back, and how that wears on you after a while. How much of a difference is that? I mean, you go deep and you go to Stanley Cup final one year, you have runs in the playoffs, and your summers are shorter, your games are longer, your seasons are longer, and then all of a sudden you're starting a new season. How does that wear a team down?
Yeah, well, they're definitely, I'm sure other players can attest to this, but the longer the season, obviously the less of a break, and I think every player in the league would be happy to trade a summer for a Stanley Cup, and so that's our goal, is to play deep into the summer every single year, and our team has really taken some big steps in the right direction, and we went from 0 banners in our arena a couple years ago to having a couple up there from the division, and a President's Trophy, and then making the Stanley Cup Finals. And the organization itself is headed in a great direction, and I wanted to be a part of that for a long time.
Ryan Ellis, our guest on Brady and Price, signs an 8-year deal yesterday to stay in Nashville, certainly for the long haul. I mentioned the winning earlier. So, I mean, 2 Memorial Cups back-to-back, that is almost impossible to do. World Junior, World Championship. Winning was kind of your thing. When you get to the pros, the Preds got knocked out in the second round your rookie year, 2 years out of the playoffs. Does that take an adjustment? I mean, I'd ask. We've had Taylor on, and it's like Taylor. It's not his fault. Look how hard he was trying. It took 7 years, 8 years to get to the playoffs just to make it this year. Like it gets to be addictive, doesn't it? Winning, was that a struggle for you your first couple years mentally to now have not things break your way as a team player?
Yeah, I think it obviously is an adjustment, and you go from all these great teams to having the expectations to win, and the league there's so much parity in the league. It's one team you think's in the playoffs for sure, may not make it, and it's a tough league to win in, and Like I said, we're moving in the right direction. You know, the President's Trophy was a big deal, and Stanley Cup Finals was an amazing accomplishment and experience. And we've got a taste of what it's all kind of like. We just haven't finished it off, and it's the challenge that every team's going to come into the year and want to accomplish, and only one gets to do it. So at the end of the day, we're out there. We're going to be competing. We're going to work hard, and I think we have a team that has the potential to do it. And like I said, I wanted to be there because I think we have a lot of great years ahead of us.
Obviously, what many people believe is the best defensive foursome in the National Hockey League. Yeah, you had PK Subban added to that team 2 years ago. What has surprised you about PK Subban, about what you thought you were getting and what you got?
I don't think anything surprises me anymore. I knew him from junior, and we played on a couple teams in the World Juniors, and so I knew PK from way back, and he nothing's changed. I mean, he's outgoing. His personality speaks for himself, and he's been great for us. And like you said, we have a great team. We have some great defense, and all around, though, I like our team on paper, and it's up to us to go out there and get the job done.
Ryan, best of luck. Great to have that deal in your back pocket, and we wish you a great August. And I know Preds will be picked by a lot of people to do some big things this year. So thank you for taking the time with us this morning.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.